Hello, you guys. Welcome back. Today we're going to have a class of the perimeter of a composite figure. And we're going to use the example that we used in the last video. And it was this one where we were finding the area of this figure. I just want you to remember that when we are finding the area of a composite figure or of a shaded figure, that is in this case, what we are going to do to make this easier is to find an equivalent figure. So in that example, we realized that this was a rectangle, yes, which was being taken a complete circle. This one's, this part, it was half of a circle that is represented in here, and this other part was this half of the other circle. So the both figures are equivalent, but in this one it's easier to find the area by taking into account that we need to find, uh, for finding the area of the shaded figure, that it would be AS. Remember that this is the last name of the this letter that is in here that represents area, and this one is shaded. So for doing that, what we need to do, it was just to find the area of the rectangle, the whole rectangle, and then cut out the area of the circle. So area of the rectangle, this is the last name, area of the circle. And we use the last names or sub-index to, to not get confused because we're using the letter a lot of times. So when we did that, we find that the area, it was 26,975 over 336 centimeters squares. If you don't remember how to do this, my advice to you is to watch the video again of the area. So we're going to use this figure to find the perimeter of that figure. But before we start, I want you to pause the video and go to the PowerPoint presentations that I send you to your email and click over these three images, and where you are going to find an explanation about the perimeter, circles and what is pi, and circles and areas and area and perimeters of the circumference. I want you to write the examples and take notes about the definitions and important stuff. And I'm going to make a warning. Notice that in the video they work with decimal numbers, that it would be useful in geometry. But remember that in math, we're looking with fractions, we're working with fractions, excuse me, and pi for us is going to be 22 over 7. Taking into account that, um, and once that you have seen this video, we can keep going. So please watch the videos before we start. Now what we're going to do is to find the perimeter of the shaded figure, take into account that the area was already found in the previous video of for that I sent you. Now we got the length and we got the height, and for doing that, and this is going to be really values information for finding the perimeter. So let's get started. So in order to find the perimeter, we have to take into account that what we're doing in here is to finding the length of the edges of the figure. So this is our figure, and we want to know how much is the length of this part, but also this part and this part and this part. And when we already know the length of every part in here, the figure, or the borders of the figure, what we're going to do is to add them. So we already know that the length of the width is 34 over 3 centimeters, which is the same as this one. And the only part that we don't know is this one that is in here. So we need to find it. But you maybe can notice that this part, as in the previous exercises, is half of a circle, but this part, we can place it in here. Okay, so we use this part and we place it in here like making a puzzle, and this part is going to be the other half of a circle, and we unite this part with this one, we're going to have a complete circle. Meaning that if I want to find the length of this part, the only thing that I need to do is to find the total length of a circle. But we already know that this circle in here for our previous example has a radius. And we are going to use this information and what we have learned from geometry and the videos that you saw that I asked you to watch, that the perimeter of this circle is going to be 2 pi times r. And remember that this C stands for the last name of the perimeter of the circle. So what we're going to do is to use this formula and we're going to find the perimeter of that circle. Taking into account that pi for our problem is 22/7 and r in this case is 25/8. Again, if you don't know where this number come from, I want you to watch again the video about areas and then you're going to find out why this radius is 25/8. So our radius is 25/8 and that's going to lead us in our formula to that the perimeter of the circle is going to be 2, that is this 2 that is in here, times this pi that is 22/7 times this r that is the radius 25/8. But remember that this number is an integer number, and for becoming this into a fraction or turning this into a fraction, we just have to place a 1 under it. So we're going to have this. You may use your calculator, and when we multiply these numbers, remember that is 2 times 22 times 25, and then 1 times 7 times 8, you are going to find that the perimeter of the circle is going to be 1100/56. But we can simplify these fractions because both numbers are even, so we can divide into 2 the numerator and into 2 the denominator. So we're going to get 550/28. And as you can see, both numbers are still even. So we can simplify again this fraction by 2, and we're going to find that the perimeter of the circle is going to be 225/14. As long as we're finding the length, this is going to be in centimeters. Okay, now we just add the length of the edges of the figure. So what we're going to do next is to take into account that we didn't want to find just the perimeter of the both half of a circle that makes the circle complete. We want to find the edges of all the figures. So what we're going to do is to take into account that this edge is 34/3. So my perimeter is going to be that edge plus this other h that is in here that is also 34/3 plus this first half and plus this other first half. But remember that both halves make the length of a complete circle that it has as a radius 25/8, and the perimeter we already find it that is 225/14 centimeters. So we're going to add those edges, both of them make 2225/14. And then take into account that both fractions in here, the first two are like fractions, we're going to add them and we're going to find that this is 68/3 plus 225/14. For adding these numbers up, you have to find out which is the least common multiple between 3 and 14. So I want you to pause the video and do that. Yes? Amplify the fractions of, well, first find the least common multiple, then amplify both fractions, and then you are going to add them. If you did it right, you're going to get these fractions that I have in here. For the least common multiple between 14 and 3 is 42. and the only thing that I got to do is to amplify the fractions. Now that they are like fractions, what we're going to do is just to add them. So this is the addition. You may use your calculator to check that this number plus this one is going to be 1627 over 42. And as you can see, they don't have a common divisor, so we cannot simplify this, meaning that the perimeter of the figure is going to be 1627 over 42. And that's it for today. I want you to check this video. If you don't understand something, I want you to check this again. I want you to watch this carefully. And when you finish to watch this, if you still have some questions, I'm going to be able for you in the schedules that I send you to your email, and I'm going to help you. So I send you hugs. I hope that you are okay. See you next time. Have a nice day.